As we converge here under the directives of our President Muhammadu Buhari, I am to inaugurate a Presidential Technical Committee on Integrated Payroll and Personal Information System (IPPIS), Government Integrated Financial Management Information System (GIFMIS), and the Treasury Single Account (TSA). This technical committee has been mandated by Mr. President through a letter written by my humble self requesting his approval to review some of the technical processes and systems deployed in government. This committee will serve as a presidential committee with the mandate of ensuring reviewing the strengths of these systems and the challenges or weaknesses, and advise Mr. President on how to improve, particularly if there are leakages that are being exploited by evil people. The issue came about on the 19th of July 2022. We had a meeting with Mr. President along with other ministers where some technical issues and some challenges were discussed. In the course of the discussion, I made a presentation. There and then, Mr. President directed me to formalize it so that he will approve for proper implementation. Historically, as we all know, that these three systems are ICT systems, Information and Communications Technology. For the first one, IPPIS, the process of its deployment commenced in 2006. While for GIFMIS, the process of its deployment commenced in 2012. While TSA, the process commenced in 2015, to be specific, around August 2015. At the time they were deployed, the provision of NIDA Act 2006 under Section A of setting the standardization of ICT deployment in federal public institutions were not followed. Because of this, these three systems were not subjected to government certification and IT project clearance as required by law and many other government policies. However, in spite of that, many achievements have been recorded by their deployment. For example, based on the report from the relevant institutions of government, that TSA or IPPIS saved government over 120 billion naira, while Treasury Single Account saved over 10 trillion naira for government. And this is based on the report we read from the relevant institutions of government that are mandated to manage them. As a result of that, these figures show to us that at least government has recorded some major gains with their deployment. But there is need to improve on that, particularly with the recent allegations coming up that these systems are being exploited by evil people where they siphon money, and we read these allegations from time to time. It is because of this, after my submission to Mr. President on this allegation, that they should not be ignored whatsoever, and we must identify where the challenges are, if any, and see how these systems can be enhanced technically so that we will be able to consolidate the gains achieved so far and also improve on them to achieve many more achievements and successes. It is because of this we converge here under Presidential Technical Committee, which is going to be inaugurated. The committee is for ministers and CEOs. However, looking at the technical nature of the work, Mr. President has approved for us to set up a technical committee that will do the work, and that committee will be supervised by the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy and other relevant government institutions where their role is mentioned. It is because of this, the members of the committees, as approved by Mr. President, the committee is going to be chaired by the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, while members of the committee are the Minister of Finance, Budget and the National Planning, Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Auditor General for the Federation, Chairman, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Director General of Bureau of Public Service Reform, Director General of the National Information Technology Development Agency, Managing Director of Galaxy Backbone Limited, and the Chairman of a National Salary and Wages Commission, while NITDA, looking at its mandate, will serve as the Secretariat. In the approval and the directives given by Mr. President, it is clearly mentioned that all government institutions that manage these three systems, IPPIS, GIFMIS, and TSS, must give unlimited access to the committee to ensure that they come up with a very strong recommendation to Mr. President for approval. Any institution that fails to give access to it, that institution is going to be reported to Mr. President immediately. And in addition to that recommendation, a punishment is going to be recommended to Mr. President for implementation. It is because of this, it is the mandate of this ministry and the relevant parastatals under the ministry to ensure that any system deployed in government, there is value for money, and we must continue to improve on that. Prior to this meeting, as part of government processes of testing and certifying systems, IPPIS was recently subjected to critical review by the National Information Technology Development Agency. A report has been submitted to the relevant ministries, including the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Education, Labor and Employment, and a copy was also sent to the Presidency. There is no doubt we discover there are high errors. There are challenges with IPPIS, there is no doubt about this. In spite of all the challenges we have recorded, there are high, medium and low errors in this system. However, there are strengths of the system in some areas. So that review is also going to be tested again, and the two remaining systems are going to be reviewed critically and technically, and the final report will be submitted to Mr. President, and the main work is to ensure there is not any leakage in this system and to ensure that the process is of high quality, because when there is a challenge in system deployment, usually there are three stages: technology, people and process. The technology is the system to be deployed. Number two, people, meaning people to manage. Number three, process, the process you follow to use it. So we want to ensure that all these three stages are tested, and at the end we come up with a recommendation or commendation or observation for critical review and criticism where the need arises. So because of this, on behalf of His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I therefore inaugurate this Presidential Technical Committee on IPPIS, GIFMIS and TSA, and I wish you all the best in carrying out the assignment.